When your cat looks at you, they're not seeing a person. Not their owner, not the one who buys their food and lets them destroy the couch. According to animal behaviorist John Bradshaw, who spent over a decade watching how domestic cats actually interact with humans, cats never built a separate mental category for us. They didn't need to, because we already fit perfectly into a category they'd had for thousands of years. You are, to your cat, a very large and deeply incompetent cat. That forehead press against your shin, that's called bunting. Cats do it with other cats they trust, not as a special human greeting, but as standard colony behavior. The curling up against you at night, the licking your hand, the grooming your hair, all of it is what cats do with each other inside a social group they've accepted you into. You're not being treated like an owner, you're being treated like family, cat family. This is why cats and dogs feel so fundamentally different to live with. A dog sees a human and immediately switches into a different mode, watching you for cues, trying to please, treating you like a leader. Cats don't do that, not because they're aloof, but because to them, you're not above them, you're beside them. Same rank, same colony. A cat owner named Sarah used to get frustrated because her cat Felix would jump onto the couch, then immediately turn his back to her and sit there facing away. She thought he was being dismissive. What was actually happening, in cat social language, turning your back on someone means you trust them enough not to watch them. Felix wasn't ignoring her, he was telling her she was safe. Dogs were selectively bred for thousands of years to read human social cues. Cats were not. They came around on their own terms, first drawn by the rodents our brain attracted, then by warmth, then by proximity. But they never rewired themselves for us the way dogs did. So instead of learning a new social system, they just folded us into the one they already had. Every time your cat chooses to be near you, not because you called them, not because they're trained to, they made a deliberate social decision, one that puts you inside their circle, not as an owner, not as a keeper, as one of their own. The first time it happens, most people scream. You walk into the kitchen in the morning and there it is, a dead mouse, a mangled bird, some half-destroyed lizard arranged on the floor like a tiny, horrible gift, and your cat is sitting right next to it, completely satisfied with themselves. What most people don't realize, that moment is one of the most caring things your cat will ever do for you. Here's the actual mechanism. Mother cats don't just feed kittens, they run a structured curriculum. It starts with bringing back dead prey so kittens can learn to identify food before it comes from a bowl. Then they bring back injured, still moving prey. Not because they're cruel, but because the only way a kitten learns to hunt is by practicing on something real, in real time. When your cat drops something at your feet, they are running that exact same program, with you as the kitten. Think about what your cat observes every single day. You never stalk anything, you don't crouch in corners waiting for the right moment. You walk directly to a humming white box, open it, and food appears from nowhere. From your cat's perspective, you have zero survival skills and no realistic path to acquiring them, so they compensate. A dead animal means your cat has already written off your hunting potential. You're past the learning stage. They're just providing for you, the way a mother cat would feed a kitten too young to learn anything. A live or barely moving animal is different. That's a tutorial. They're giving you something to finish. Researchers studied indoor-only cats found something interesting. Even without any outdoor access, cats will carry toy mice or crinkle balls to their owners in the middle of the night and vocalize until acknowledged. The instinct is so deeply wired that real prey isn't required. They'll improvise with whatever's available. One owner's cat brought the same toy every morning before breakfast, not after, before. A transaction. I provided, now you provide. That routine had been running for 3 years before she even registered what it was. There's one more layer most people miss. When your cat drops something and then watches you, really watches, they're reading your response. Cats whose owners consistently ignored these offerings sometimes stopped bringing them altogether. Not out of stubbornness. The social loop never closed, so the behavior faded. So the next time your cat drops something at your feet, dead, alive, toy, random hair tie, that's your cat saying, I know you can't do this yourself, so I did it for you. That's not just instinct. That's loyalty operating in a language older than words. Try this if you have a cat nearby. Get down to their level, bring your face to about 8 inches away, and look directly at them. They won't look back the way you're looking at them. Their gaze goes soft, slightly unfocused, like they're staring at something just behind your face rather than at it. That's not attitude, that's anatomy. Cats have a near vision blind spot. Anything closer than roughly 10 inches becomes an undefined blur. No edges, no expression, no detail. Every nose boop, every time you held their face in your hands and stared into their eyes, your cat was looking at a warm, vaguely person-shaped fog. And at distance, it doesn't get dramatically sharper. Cat vision is built for something other than fine detail. Their world is softer, slightly lower resolution, and muted in the red spectrum. The expression on your face is largely invisible to them. But here's what they can do instead. Their motion detection is extraordinary. Cats track movement at speeds and distances that don't register for human eyes. A bug on a wall 15 feet away, the twitch of a finger under a blanket, the micro shift in your posture that happens a full second before you actually stand up. Your body is broadcasting information constantly, and your cat is reading all of it. This is why cats seem to predict your movements before you make them. They're not psychic. They've memorized your behavioral patterns in detail. The slight lean forward before you rise from a chair, the way your breathing changes when you're about to reach for their food bowl. Your cat doesn't recognize you by your face. They recognize you by how you move. The specific rhythm of your footsteps, the way you shift your weight when you turn a corner. Every person has a unique movement signature, and your cat has yours locked in. Researchers documented cats showing recognition responses to returning owners before the front door even opened, triggered by footsteps alone from outside. No visual information at all. The gait pattern was enough. Scent runs even deeper. Your body carries a chemical signature built from skin chemistry, diet, and stress hormones that's as individual as a fingerprint. Your cat has mapped yours thoroughly enough that they can detect shifts in your emotional state just by smelling you. A woman named Claire noticed her cat Miso would follow her closely and stay unusually near on high anxiety days when Claire seemed completely normal to anyone watching her. No behavioral change, no different tone of voice, but Miso knew, because elevated cortisol changes how a person smells, and Miso had spent years learning exactly what that shift meant. She wasn't being clingy, she was responding to a signal. So what your cat actually carries in their mind when they think of you isn't a face, it's a complete sensory profile. The sound of your specific footsteps, your breathing rhythm when you sleep, the exact chemical signature of your skin, the way your body moves when you're calm versus unsettled. They don't see you the way a mirror does. They know you the way only something that has been paying quiet, constant, close attention ever could. Adult cats living with other cats almost never meow at each other. Not rarely, almost never. Watch footage of feral cat colonies, cats living together, competing, bonding, and you'll hear hissing, growling, chirping, trilling, and a dense library of body language. But meowing is largely absent, because meowing is a kitten behavior. It's what a small, helpless cat does to get its mother's attention, a signal that says, "I'm here, I need something, come find me." As cats mature and become self-sufficient, that sound fades. They have better tools: scent, slow blinks, tail position, ear angle, facial micro-expressions that adult cats read fluently from across a room. So why does your cat meow at you constantly? Because of you. Specifically because of you. At some point early in your relationship, your cat reached a conclusion. You are not good at cat. You walk past tail signals without registering them, you miss the slow blinks, you don't notice ear positions that would be immediately obvious to any other cat in the room. Communicatively speaking, you are nearly illiterate. So your cat dug back into its own developmental history, pulled out the only vocalization it knew could get through, and repurposed it. The meow, built for a mother's ears, got redirected to yours, because it works. You respond to it. You can't ignore it the way you ignore a tail flick. And then something more interesting happened. The meow evolved. Researchers at Stockholm University recorded and analyzed cat vocalizations across hundreds of owner interactions. Their finding? Cats develop individualized vocal patterns for specific people. The meow your cat uses with you isn't something they'd use with anyone else. It's been shaped by what works on you, adjusted over months and years of observation, one micro-experiment at a time. The meow that gets you out of bed is different from the one that opens the treat cabinet. The meow at the front door when you come home is different from the 2 a.m. request to move your legs so they can have the warm spot. Each one refined through repeated testing until your cat had a working vocabulary mapped specifically to your responses. A man named David had 2 cats, Theo and Pip. Theo had developed one very specific vocalization, a short, slightly rising sound he used only in one situation, when David's alarm went off but David hadn't gotten up yet. Not for food, not for play, not ever in any other context. Just that one circumstance, that one sound, built entirely for that moment. Pip had a completely different morning system, lower, more insistent, delivered in clusters of 3. Neither of those vocalizations exists in nature. Neither was inherited. Both were invented from scratch. And some researchers now think cats don't just build this vocabulary once, they actively monitor which sounds are losing effectiveness and update them. If a particular meow stops getting a response, the cat begins experimenting with variations, different pitch, different duration, different timing, testing, observing, adjusting. One owner noticed her cat's food meow had gradually shifted over about 6 months, becoming lower and more drawn out. Her vet's explanation was straightforward. Your cat figured out that slower, lower sounds get a faster response from you, so she updated. She had been running an ongoing behavioral study. You were the subject. So the next time your cat looks up at you and meows, that sound doesn't exist in the wild. It isn't used with other cats. It was built from scratch, specifically for you, refined across years of paying close attention to what reaches you and what doesn't. That's not just communication. That's investment. There's a moment that happens in almost every house with a cat. You walk into a room, your cat is sitting alert, ears up, reading the environment the way cats always do. Then, within seconds of you entering, something releases. Their ears softened, their eyes go half-lidded, their whole body settles like something just gave them permission to stop bracing. Most people assume the cat was just tired and happened to relax. That's not what happened. You walked in. In 2019, researchers at Oregon State University ran an attachment study that genuinely surprised the scientific community. They placed cats in an unfamiliar room with their owner, removed the owner for 2 minutes, then brought them back. Over 60% of cats showed what researchers classify as a secure attachment response. When their owner returned, they visibly relaxed, stopped vocalizing, and resumed exploring the space with calm confidence. Without the owner present, they were tense, withdrawn, and unsettled. This is the exact attachment pattern human infants display with their primary caregivers, the same emotional wiring, documented in 2 completely different species. It goes beyond the moment you're in the room. Studies measuring cortisol found that cats in stable, bonded relationships run chronically lower stress levels across the entire day, not just when you're present, as if simply knowing you exist